Ladies, let me show you a few essential exercises for glutes and some lower body exercises and how to make them more glutes that you definitely want to have in your training. Number one is going to be probably one of the best exercises for isolating the glutes. We're gonna talk about glute drive. Specifically, I'm gonna cover the booty builder, but all the tips can apply to hip thrust or any similar machine. There is few things you want to be aware of because 90% of women I see, they do these mistakes that cause them either not engaging their glutes properly or even causing lower back pain. Number one, take your time with the overall setup. You want to make sure that the seat in the booty builder is high enough and also not too far or not too close. Typically what we're aiming for is when you lift your glutes at the top of the exercise, we want to see 90 degrees in your knees and keeping your shins vertical to the platform or to the floor. With booty builder, there can be one issue with the platform being angled, so you want to really make sure when you lift your glutes, you are not sliding back. This is something that's happening to me as well, that because of the angled platform, I'm sliding back and then my hamstrings taking over. So if you're feeling your hamstrings during hip thrust or booty builder, this can be exactly why. You always want to make sure that your shins are vertical to the floor and aiming for those 90 degrees in your knee. With booty builder, the great cue I found very helpful is not focusing on pressing against your heels, but pressing against your whole foot, including your toes. Like that, you can slightly more focus on pushing your knees forward and not sliding back, not feeling your hamstrings instead of your glutes. Second mistake that probably 99% of women I trained with did was actual exercise and keeping your core engaged. Imagine you're doing Romanian deadlift in just horizontal position. Like that, you want to really make sure your core is engaged, your pelvis is neutral, and keeping the core tight and engaged throughout the full range of motion and throughout the both phases of the exercise. This exercise is all about shortened position, so really focusing on that engagement at the top of the exercise when we want to really squeezing those glutes, almost like a scooping pelvis and squeezing the glutes under. And now this is what many women do wrong. On the way down in our eccentric phase, when we go into that lengthened position, you want to make sure you keep your core engaged and you are not arching your back. So what I see oftentimes women do, they lowering their back, tilting their pelvis forward, which is the reason why you feel so much lower back pain. And this can be an issue when you go slightly heavier. So imagine you're doing Romanian deadlift, keep your ribs in, keep your pelvis neutral, core engaged, and hold it like this throughout the full range of motion. To maximize the engagement of glutes, I always recommend to focusing on that main part of the movement, which is the shortened position at the top when we really want to hold at the top for 2 seconds, squeeze the glutes, and then with control slowly lower down. Last mistake that some women do as well, and even complaining that they feel dizzy, is that as they coming up, they kind of leaning backwards. You want to make sure again that your spine is neutral, keep your chin slightly in and gaze forward. You don't want to leaning completely back, losing the control, losing the tension in your core, in your glutes, in your whole body. Another great exercise, and this is probably king of lower body machines, is leg press. My most favorite machine and exercise for leg. It's really good for overall strength development, muscle growth, and it's really good because you can play with different positions. Thanks to you can focus a little bit more on your quads, on your hamstrings, on your glutes, and also it's very easy on your lower back and also on your knee. When we're trying to target the glutes with leg press, you want to aim to keep your feet as high as you can at the top of the platform, nice hip width apart, nice and narrow, and like always aiming for full range of motion, so really driving those knees as close to your chest as possible. One thing to be aware of is the pelvic tilt at the bottom. You want to make sure as you're coming down, you want to just go as low as you can without tilting your pelvis. Like this, you're losing your tension, you can hurt your back. So if you feel like you can't go as deep as you would, just practice with lower weight, get that range of motion and slowly overload over time. This exercise, you either love it or hate it, but most people hate it because it's very hard, but it's actually great lower body exercise. And I'm talking about nothing different than Bulgarian split squat. Specifically, I show you my favorite variation on Smith machine because it provides great stability and still keeping it very challenging. So with Bulgarian split squat, there is also a few things you can change to bias a little bit more your glutes or your quads. So I'm going to show you how to set up the machine or Bulgarian split squat what to focus on to specifically target your glutes. Number one is going to be obviously the bench, where you put in your back foot. So you want to choose height that is suitable for you, typically somewhere below your knee. But if you're struggling with range of motion, you can definitely go a little bit lower, because higher your back foot is going to be, the more difficult it's gonna be. So at the end of the day, if you're starting, you can either put some step that it's not too high before you move on to bench. With Smith machine split squat, I always place my front foot in front of the bar and then adjust my bench and overall setup. So again, before you jump into the exercise, always try that your setup is correct and ready to go. When we're trying to target the glutes with Bulgarian split squat, the main thing here is keeping your shin vertical to the floor, keeping your knee over your ankle, don't shifting your knee forward, and instead thinking about pushing your hips back to get your glutes into their most lengthened position while hitting the full range of motion. Always go with the variation that suits you, whether it's dumbbells, barbells, Smith machine, or any other machine. Sometimes I see people too excited going into, for example, Smith machine, Bulgarian split squat, and they actually are not able to do the movement properly. So if you're just starting out, grab some dumbbells or even body weight, practice the movement before you move on to something like Smith machine or barbell. The main thing you want to focus on is range of motion, going with your knee as low as you can, because if you are not using the deficit you created, you're basically not doing the exercise properly. You are not getting the full potential of the exercise, engaging your glutes as you could. And also, to make the most of this exercise, always shift your whole body weight on your front leg. Completely forget about your back foot that's on the bench. Just keep that leg resting. Don't put any pressure. Don't try to push yourself with both legs. Great compound exercise that most people actually do is Romanian deadlift. And over here again, there are slight tweaks that we can do to target glute a little bit more. There is so many different variations that we can do. We can do barbell Romanian deadlift, dumbbell, we can use Smith machine or different machines, cables. But I'm going to show you my most favorite machine, where the glute engagement is unmatched, at least for me. Always remember, even though certain exercises are specific to target specific muscle groups, but it doesn't mean that each one of us will feel the exercise in completely different places. But in general, this exercise is amazing, and I feel this machine is very unused. So let me show you ground-based machine Romanian deadlift. What I really like about dumbbell Romanian deadlift is the position of your hands, so you can keep them natural compared to barbell. And this is really similar with this machine, just it provides a little bit more stability, which is even better. And then the setup like for normal deadlift: shoulders back, chest lifted, core engaged, ribs in, pelvis neutral. Be focusing on that hinge in your hips. And the great cue how to engage your glutes a little bit more is to keeping your knees above your ankles, not moving them backwards or not squatting. You're going up, getting ready, slowly with inhale, pushing those hips back, knees above my ankles, getting those glutes into their lengthened position, getting that pause in, exhale, lift. There is one cue that actually sounds really weird, but it works miracles. I don't even remember where I hear that, but someone told me, think about opening your holes. And as weird as it sounds, it actually works great. All right, let's talk about kickback, which is a very favorite exercise amongst women, but it's actually not as easy as it looks like. And I'm gonna be completely honest, most women I see do this exercise don't do it correct. There is a million variations. You can obviously target your gluteus medius and minimus from different angles. You can target your adductors, you can target your abductors. There's so many different ways how to do kickback, but just because you see someone do it on Instagram doesn't mean that it's perfect exercise for you. So like always, try to focus on how you're actually feeling during the exercise, focus on the engagement, proper form, and if the exercise doesn't necessarily suit you, just don't do it, because there are always different ways how you can train glutes specifically for your body composition. I personally struggled with this exercise for a long time, and I went through different adjustments throughout years to find the best variation for for me, where I can finally progress and I can actually feel my glutes without overloading my lower back. The variation I used to do was the one when I was leaning completely forward. My body was horizontal with the floor, and while this was actually great to feel my glute, I couldn't really progress with this exercise because anytime I load a little bit more, I start to feel my lower back because the heavy weight in this position was just too much to keep my core and keep my lower back in engaged and aligned position. Also, big mistake I see girls doing, they are arching their back at the top, driving that foot too high. So this is one to be aware of. Then I see obviously girls doing abduction, which is again great, but for example, I prefer abduction machine for better engagement. Then you also see different angles to the side and to the back to target the gluteus medius from different angles. Again, focus on the form and the tension in the first place and find what works best for you. I'm gonna show you the variation I currently do and I love, and I was able to really progress with load and really the whole engagement and really getting the most of this exercise. So for this variation, I'm gonna keep my cable quite high, and I'm also using step. You can use yoga block or any white plate. I'm getting my cable on. And in this variation, I'm staying really upright, holding onto the machine and really focusing on overall stability. Not think about your bottom leg, really trying to not putting too much pressure on it and really focusing on your top leg. Getting that bend in your knee to get your glutes in the lengthened position. And then with exhale, I'm driving back, not arching my back. I'm just kicking back, engaging my glutes, holding that for a second. Inhale, slide bend in the knee, getting the glutes nice with control in the lengthened position. So this variation works the best for me. I absolutely love it. And again, pick the one that suits you, but try to avoid doing 15 reps this, 15 reps this, doing 100 reps in one go. This is nonsense. This is bullshit. You're wasting your time. And rather focus on slowing down the tempo, getting the tension in your glutes, focus on that hold at the top and slowly load. Great exercise for your warm-ups or your finishers is hyperextension, where we can do small adjustments in your positioning to target your glutes a little bit more. So typically with hyperextensions, we're trying to keep our back straight and getting really into that full extension. When you're trying to hit your glutes, you want to do completely opposite. You want to really tuck your chin in, get your back really round, and as you're coming up, you're actually not lifting fully into full extension. You're really just focusing on lifting, squeezing your glutes at the top.